Hey, happy Monday, everyone. I think you're seeing this on Monday if all goes well. We are starting a brand new project and it seems like forever. I apologize for last week was all Facebook stuff other than Friday night, but anyway, we're starting on a new project, running a little bit behind, but this one's going to be kind of cool. It's going to be a little bit different. This actually is for someone local, our bookkeeper actually, and we're just fortunate that he wanted to trade some work that he's doing for us for a sign. So we're kind of excited that there's no cash out of pocket basically. So what we have is he gave me some artwork. He wants this carved, He wants this carved on a sign. Then we're going to put some lettering in here. But the colors are going to be a little bit different than this, but basically the name is going to be in here, and I think it's going to be fun. I think I'm going to enjoy it. So what he wants from a size-wise, this is for his cabin up in, up in like Montana, I think like Montana or Idaho. Anyway, so he wants something about 18 inches wide by somewhere 2 foot to 3 foot long. So I don't have, and we kind of talked about it, he kind of likes the idea of live edge. So I don't really have a live edge piece that big. So here's what I'm going to do. I do have a good piece of white poplar, and he likes the idea of white poplar, a lighter board. So what I'm going to do is I've got this big slab here that's almost 6 feet long, which is just about right. So I'm going to cut this in half. This is my plan. I'm going to rip off one edge on each of these and then laminate them together, and this board is got to be about 2 inches net. Yeah, it's actually about 1 3/4 inches net. So it'll make a nice hefty sign for him. We're only carving one side, but it'll be a nice substantial hefty sign, which I think will look pretty good. So we're going to take you through the process. So next scene will be outside, and we'll cut this thing in half, and then we'll rip some edges and put this thing together. So we'll be right back. All right, folks, so here we go. I've got this pretty much set up ready to cut. So one thing I had to do is I had to pop off this live edge. It was loose anyway, and I love the way this stuff looks with epoxy on it, but if it doesn't have epoxy on it, then there's no way it'll stay on. And pretty much everybody will tell you when they do live edge stuff, it's just not going to stay on. All the stuff that I've done with epoxy, it does stay on, but this is going to have just a regular finish on it because it's going outside. So anyway, I'll get that out of the way, and then normally speaking, if we do this off camera, normally speaking, literally I clamp it to the bench, hold on to one edge, and then Vicky catches the other end. But in this particular case, I kind of built the whole thing up. This is about 1 3/4 inches thick. I've got this set at about 1 7/8 inches. That is pretty much where I need it cut, anywhere near there. The way I drew that line is, fortunately, I do have a square edge at the end, measured over, and then I went back 1 3/16 inches, which means that blade should cut right around that line somewhere. Clamped it down. This is the Harbor Freight Bauer cordless little circular saw, and I love this thing. I've talked about it before. I'll tell you what, man, Harbor Freight isn't known for having the best tools, but I've had really good luck with the Bauer stuff. These clamps are Harbor Freight, and I got nothing to do with Harbor Freight. They're not a sponsor or anything like that, although if you're listening, just saying. Anywho, these are Harbor Freight clamps. I really like them. The plastic versions of these you can put right over there in the trash can. They ain't worth nothing. Anyway, and I've tried. So, but anyway, so let's get this thing cut. Here we go. Hey, it worked. It worked.
Ooh, that smells good.
Yeah, I love the smell of that white poplar. This is literally, this is becoming one of my favorites, guys. I love this white poplar. If you guys get a chance to use it, it carves so nice. It just, man, I love this stuff. Anyway, it looks great with a finish on it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I've got to rip some square edges. Now I have a square edge here. I got to rip some square edges on there. So I'll get set up for that and we'll be right back. All right, so what I've done here is I've done essentially the same thing, except this time I'm using this little, what do they call this thing? Clamp and cut edge guide. Again, a Harbor Freight thing. Actually, as cheap as it was, I find it works really well. I've used it many times and I like it. But this time I've also clamped it down to the bench, so I don't want this thing floating on me. I've got 2x6s under here, back beyond the edge here to make sure I don't run into them. But maybe I ought to check that one more time. Yep, they're out of the way. So they're back. So, yeah, we're pretty solid. Let's cut it. Here we go. Get this out of the way. There be. All right, and I got
piece I can use for
this has got a kind of a cool look to it. So we'll save that for another project. I think Vicky's just claimed it. Anyway, so okay guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing on my other piece there, and then when we come back, I'll figure out how I'm going to put these things together. So we'll be right back. All right, folks. Okay, so we've got our two pieces here. They're cut pretty much to size, but let me tell you what I did here. This one here, what we need to do is get a square edge. Get a good square 90-degree edge. Now, if you go back and you watch video 467, I go over that. That's 467. But in essence, what I did here is I ran this through the planer and got a nice flat edge. Other than that, but that didn't really matter. Then I put this against the fence of the joiner and it gave me a nice square edge. So I'm hoping that that shows up on video. Got a nice 90-degree square edge. So all I need to do now is do exactly the same process. It's a little thinner now because I had to run it through a few times. So I got to take this down to the same height as this one. This knot is sticking up. I still haven't decided. I think I'm going to use my little disc sander and just sand that down to somewhere around this surface. Then run it through the planer, get a flat edge here, and then run it, and then put this against the fence just like I did with this one and get a square edge. And then when we come back, we should be able to clamp these things together and glue this sucker up. All right, boys and girls, here we go. So I've done all the milling that I needed to do on these boards. We've got a pretty good seam. It's not absolutely 100%, but it's close enough. I think the glue that I use will fill that little tiny bit of a gap there. So let me tell you what I did from a kind of a setup standpoint. I put down a piece of 1/2-inch MDF on my bench. Then I covered it obviously with what is this, like a shower curtain or something? Yeah, just some kind of a little thing because I didn't want to screw up my my MDF. I set it up and I've kind of prepared for everything, hopefully. And gosh, there's something else. Even though this has got the live edge on it, I still checked it out and it clamps up really well. I'll put a third clamp in the center here once I get these two in place. So And I've got my blocks, my little cauls. I've got those set up. So let's glue this thing up. I'm just going to put glue on one edge, but I'm going to put a bunch. You guys have seen me laminate these boards before, so this is nothing really new. Although I don't recall actually that I've ever laminated boards that had live edge on both edges. I think that's a little new for me. So my glue, the last time I used it, it was a little thick, so I added a little bit of a water to it because I wanted it to flow a little bit better. So I just want to make sure that there are absolutely no areas that aren't covered with glue on that seam. And you can see I'm probably putting more glue on there than's absolutely necessary, but I'm a more glue kind of guy. That's just the way I roll. So I think that looks pretty good. All right, let's get it done. So we'll just get a squeeze going there. Now these little cauls, I've got packing tape on both sides of them, of both of them. This just keeps it from floating front to back. Doesn't need to be super tight. So, and I've said this many times, guys, when you're doing something like this, preparation is everything. The last thing you want is to not be prepared, not have everything set the way you need it to be. I need some more of these Bessie clamps, because they really do work better. Let's see if we can get squeeze out in the middle. Yep, that's what I was looking for. So now we got a pretty good squeeze out everywhere. Pretty good seam. It floated a little bit left to right, but that doesn't bother me. I'm going to need to trim this thing down anyway. I think this is still going to be too long, but I'd rather have it too long. I think this is going to be our width, and we need to blow that logo up appropriately. So let's see now. So this is just a rag, an old sock. And I'll just get that excess glue off of there. Just dip it in water, get that excess glue so we don't have a lot to sand or knock off there. I'm going to turn it over, do the other side, because I know we got squeeze out on the back side. So I'm going to turn that over, get that done off camera. Then we come back. We need to fill some gaps and stuff because we got some stuff here we need to use Starbond. So we'll be right back. All right, so now we are going to use some Starbond. We are going to fill some gaps. Now, you guys have seen me use the Starbond many times, and I've done this particular thing that I'm going to do. I've done it before, but I just want to go over it again in case you guys hadn't seen me do this. Oh, by the way, well, yeah, I'll get to something else in a minute here. Anyway, so what I want is I want to use the medium brown at the surface. Uh-oh, Vicky says I'm yelling, sorry. I want to use a medium brown at the surface, but being as I have some pretty good gaps like in here, and then there's one over here, being as I do that, I'm going to fill it first with a gap filler and bring it almost up to the surface, and then I will put the brown at the surface. And I've done this before, and it's actually worked out pretty well for me. So let's see if I can pull this off here. I'm going to let that soak in, get down a little bit there. Now with this one, I think I can just go right to the medium. Because see, this is a medium viscosity, whereas this is the thick gap filler. Here, I think I can just use the medium. I could probably do that down here as well. So I will put across the screen right now, guys. You guys know we love Starbond. I use it all the time. In fact, I used it the other day to stick something to my dashboard in my new truck. That two-sided tape wasn't working, and I used the Starbond thick. It's holding great. What happens is the two-sided tape I was using, even though it's amazing two-sided tape, the heat out here, even though my truck is under a carport all the time, the heat out here just causes stuff to melt. But using this Starbond on top of that two-sided tape, it rode all the way to California, all the way back, and hasn't let loose yet. So I love Starbond. So I'm going to put, if you guys want to get some of this, I'm going to put our discount code across the bottom. And again, thanks so much, Starbond, for supporting us and sending us some product. So I think this is probably dry enough. Let's go back down here now and see if we can... I think I need to put a little bit more gap filler down here.
You said there was something else you were going to mention.
Oh yeah. So something else I was going to mention is this has got the live edge. I started to mention it earlier. This has got the live edge. So ideally you want this to be a square edge for these clamps. But I've never done one like this before, but it clamped up just fine. I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. So and the thing about this particular live edge is I've got to get rid of all of this stuff anyway, so I've got to kind of shape it. I may let Vicky do that since that's kind of her deal. But we need to kind of shape that and clean it up anyway, so if I make little marks on there, doesn't really matter. Anyway, yeah, I think now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that dark. Oh, dropped it. Yep, I think that's going to work out really well for me, guys. So I've got some other things here, some other little pieces that I need to fill, but they're all basically going to be like that. So guys, that is it for this video. I wanted to get this board made. On the next video, which you guys will see on Wednesday if all goes well, we'll get right into the I'll sand these off before we start videotaping, because you guys see me do that plenty of time. But we'll get right into the layout and get to carving this thing on the next video. So thanks again, guys, and we would love for you to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Click that little bell icon so you get notifications. And I guess that's it. If you have any questions, Eric at makeawoodsign.com. And we're on Instagram, Make a Wood Sign. We love you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.